So we're about to head into LRT stuff. They've put the clue for next year's HHN.
That was the best. That was honestly the best.
Then John says, treatment for house number 7 of HHN 2026. Will we see Dr. Oddfellow return for HHN 2026 this year? The answer is...
It is time for the word of the day.
Finale. Unfortunately, this is the finale, but we'll be back next year.
Favorite house?
Honestly, WWE.
Yeah.
And I don't even watch WWE, but I watched the documentary on Peacock. It's insane. Like if you don't love that house after watching that documentary, you don't have a heart.
Okay guys, we're at Universal Studios Florida. It's time for a Halloween Horror Nights 2026 update. We're gonna be talking about kind of what to expect for next year's HHN. And it's also the final night of Halloween Horror Nights 2025. So we're doing our full in-depth review about the good, the bad, and the ugly of this year, what they still need to improve upon, and then also talk about Scare Actor of the Year, the Scare Zone of the Year for me, and then also the House of the Year. So we have a lot to cover and the deep dive into the Toxic 20 Scare Zone. So on that note,
one last time, heading in, we got the medallion right there.
Okay, so first positive of this year is the change for Stay and Scream. So it's all the wristband system now.
So there's multiple locations around the park. You come and you pick up your wristband and you can buy food, get in line for houses. They have some rubber chickens on the front right there.
Okay, so now let's start talking about the preseason of Halloween Horror Nights 34. What went right? So we kind of started off the season with Spooky Empire. I thought the panel was wonderfully done. Grand reveal of Sergio. He comes out. I love the little teases with the concept art. It was enough bit of a tease for the house for the fans to get excited for, and I love kind of seeing the teams just talk about the houses in the process. So I wish they did more of that where they kind of connect with the fans because it feels more personal when they do that. So I like the Spooky Empire panel that they did, and then it came to them revealing all the houses again within like a week for like the originals. They kind of fumbled again with the marketing. What they should have done was announce an original house for 1 week, pair it with a podcast, get people invested with that story, get them excited, because they revealed all the originals so quick, blew their load on the whole buildup of the originals. So I think for next year, reveal an original house, pair it with a podcast to kind of expand that story, and that's how you will kind of, you know, build up the hype even longer. Okay, so now let's talk about the commercial material that they released to build up the hype for the IP houses. Kind of lackluster. There was kind of CGI'd like living rooms with TVs with Easter eggs in it. I kind of wish they did like the actual like commercial reveals that are like live action, like how they did with like Ghostbusters or The Quiet Place. That is a lot better than like the budget cut CGI trailer. Now we did get a live action trailer like later in the season, but I would have liked a kind of a live action trailer released with the IP announcements. Then now let's talk about Premium Scream Night. Kind of a disaster this year. Last year was awesome. So there was very few people. There was a walk-on to every single house. So we all were not expecting that this year, but this year it was pretty much just like a slower HHN night. I was able to accomplish all 10 houses, all 5 scare zones, and a panel, but a lot of people weren't. So a lot of people were upset they weren't able to kind of instantly walk into these houses like that, you know, we all kind of advertised the year before because it didn't even sell out last year. So I think for next year, I think a couple thousand people less, right? Raise the price, people will pay it, but if it's that exclusive kind of VIP experience where you get to walk onto every single house, I think that's what they need to do for next year. I did like they had that exclusive shirt for the event, because you can only get it for the event. So that was cool that they did that. So I appreciated that. But Premium Scream Night, it wasn't a terrible event, but there's a lot of things that still need to be worked out.
Now it's time to talk about the tribute store. There's Mike and Ramon heading into the tribute store. The tribute store, again, whenever many changes, as you know, Rip Ride Rocket is going away. Mummy needed their extended queue for that space, so tribute got placed in here. You could definitely tell this was not the original location, and it was kind of a mediocre tribute store. The team did the best they could with the position I think they were placed in, so it feels just like an extension of the Mummy gift shop instead of its own unique attraction, like how the tribute stores normally are. So I'm hoping for next year they can actually put the tribute store in a proper place, like back over there, and not have to shoehorn it into here. So there are elements that I liked. I kind of like the backstory, and I like the tease that happened in Boris Schuster's office, but pretty much what happened inside is just fine.
Okay, so Joel, so 6 o'clock, they're having the opening ceremony. I'm sad. It's the last night.
El artista, por favor, heed my warning. The conservatory before you conceals a more sinister truth. It is the birthplace for
Okay, so you just watched opening ceremony. I love that they created little opening ceremonies for each scare zone. I hope for next year they bring that back and then they add more flavor to each one of them. But so the backstory behind the Toxic 20s. There's a guy named Tony. Tony's working for BuzzCon. As you know, BuzzCon is not the best company around. You can see an Easter egg of the batteries in the doll's house. We saw them in Slaughter Cinema 2, right? Toxic sludge from BuzzCon goes terribly wrong. And we also saw them from Bugs Eaten Alive. Their pest control, again, went wrong. There's another pest control, rat poison, that's here. We have the billboard, right, for the rat poison. Tony's driving a truck to a delivery spot. While he's driving there, he's rushing there, he just got the job, he wants to make money. There's a bank robbery. So there's the Barmy Bank, the Barmy triplets, it's a little nod to them. So there's a bank robbery, the money bag's spread, he's driving this car, flying through here. So Tony's going to work, the getaway car is going, Tony's trying to avoid it. The barrels are now flying off of Tony's truck, so now they've gotten into the water. Now the toxic BuzzCon sludge that was the rat poison just going everywhere, right? So now it's kind of mutating people. People are growing limbs, their face is melting off, it's changing them into these mutants. So at the end of the scare zone, we're gonna see Tony, but in the beginning, we're gonna kind of see where they crash through the billboard, the barrels flying off, the big mutant that comes and attacks Tony at the end, that's Moneybags Moretti, right? So that's like kind of the main gangster guy. So that's the backstory behind the Toxic 20. So on that note, let's do the whole little montage.
Breaking news, folks. Mutations plague the streets of our city, turning people into monsters or something. Police suspect that BuzzCon Industries is to blame for the ongoing chaos. Could their prototype product have dangerous side effects? Authorities advise that you stay in your homes, lock your doors, hold your children, and stay away from that green goo.
What's the password? Forget the password! Open the door!
Get it off me! Get it off me!
No, let off, Dolly!
Yes, you there. You gotta get to safety before it's too late. Your friends, your family, they're turning into monsters before your eyes, and you'll be next if you're not careful. Whatever you do, don't make contact with the green goo. BuzzCon Industries, we disclaim responsibility for any adverse effects that our top-of-the-line rat poison may cause.
Okay, it was my fault.
I knew it was his fault.
Don't touch the goo. Well, if you want it, you know what? Last night, what's it ready to go?
Hey! The green goo, it's toxic! It's turning people into mutants! Stay away from it! Green goo! Those damn crooks, they're the ones to blame. Lousy criminals had to go and rob the bank, catch me up in their chaos. I was just trying to make a delivery. No, please. I didn't mean it. I swear. Run!
Okay, so the character of the year when it comes to scare zones, Justin, who is it? Who's this character of the year?
This guy.
For the scare zones.
Flip that camera around.
The physicality, non-stop. He must be exhausted.
The one and only Tony right there.
So I'm glad the HHN bar is back. I kind of like last year's a little bit better because the characters rotated. So every time you would come, there'd be kind of a different set of characters. There were only 2 characters this time and they didn't rotate. It was great to see, you know, Sergio and everything up close. Next year, if we have the HHN bar, rotate the characters a little bit. It adds a little bit of variety.
Oh, now you want to laugh. Yeah, oh, now he's laughing?
Or this guy.
Give him the good stuff in there, yeah. The vampires don't even get that stuff. That's bone marrow.
Pure bone marrow. Delicious. 10 out of 10.
It's a must.
So Universal did release some behind the scenes images of kind of the concept of doing a lot of the costumes for the scare zone. So let's go over that real quick.
Our entertainment teams work all year to create a beautifully creepy and completely unforgettable Halloween Horror Nights event. From elaborate costumes to terrifying makeup and prosthetics, it takes everyone working in harmony, combined with great stories, talented performers, and immersive environments to make nightmares come to life. So the scare zones really enjoyed this year because what they did is, they removed the scare zone, they put Club Horror there, and they took that budget and funded the extra details inside the 4 scare zones. Next year, again, I'm okay with having the 4 scare zones and keeping the quality within them.
This performer's doing stuff. Then you got like this dude doing stuff. Now they're doing this. Now he's doing that. He's doing the robot. I don't know what's going on. That's
Okay, so now let's talk about the food. So the food's all been pretty decent. Not a lot of like 10 out of 10 game-changing stuff, but a lot of just like decent, passable theme park food. But we did lose Twisted Taters this year, so I've been waiting for this moment.
This is another kind of conservatory allergies to food booth. They have their new version of the Twisted Tater. They're just honestly chips. Let's see how they are. All right, here it is. Twisted chips, crunchy twisted potato chips with a choice of ranch and vinegar or spicy cheddar. We got spicy cheddar.
I miss Twisted Taters. They were thicker, they're funkier. I know some of the quality control issues. That's why they switched to this. It just tastes like a standard chip. 7 out of 10, it's not bad, but I like the classic Twisted Tater. It's a staple of HHN. Even if the quality's a little all over the place. I want it back.
It's definitely more like a standard chip. I do miss the stick. It was nice having like a free Harry Potter one. Be like, yeah.
Okay, so my scare zone of the year is gonna be the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. I love that it's kind of a spin-off of Slaughter Cinema. We got the pumpkins back, the lighting, the layering upon layering upon layering of details really makes you feel immersed and makes it feel like you're inside of a house. This doesn't feel like a scare zone, it feels like a house.
Your little mini haunted house over here.
There's a beginning, middle, and end with that kind of grand finale. So that's why this is my scare zone of the year.
The Universal Backlot Club.
Really enjoyed it, right? It really kind of gave you a reason to come every single week. It was like a little scavenger hunt. You go to each tower, scan your phone, and then go to 5 and Dime and get a concept card as your little reward each week. So it's fun to collect all those concept cards. You normally don't get to see the concept art, but by them doing this, you got to actually see the concept art. So I hope they bring back the Backlot Club.
All right, so Nightmare Fuel.
A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. I want something different though next year. It's too similar to how it has been. Switch up the storyline, switch up the magic. It's the same magic that we've kind of been seeing over the past couple years. I want something drastically different. When we had Academy of Villains before Nightmare Fuel, every single year felt familiar, but also drastically different in terms of like tone and theme. Hopefully next year's Nightmare Fuel, if it does return, it's different. I will say, the beginning of the season, a great show. Towards the end, utter dumpster fire with what's going on behind the scenes. A mess. So hopefully Universal can kind of rein everything in for next year. Okay, Wizarding World has the Death Eaters, just as good as last year. Death Eaters really add some good kinetic energy and spooky vibes to HHN.
The grabber's over there, and this is the line to get a photo with the grabber. It's crazy.
Because some people don't like scare zones, some people don't like haunted houses, some people are just coming here for Nightmare Fuel or just the food or the drinks. So people can hang out in Club Horror, listen to music. I think it needs some more seating though, and every year just switch it up with a different theme to it. You know, add some different spooky themes over the course of the upcoming HHNs. I think that would work, but I think Club Horror is a success.
Nighttime show is going on right there.
So I'm so happy it's back. Now they did kind of recycle a large majority of it from a couple years ago because it was only around for like a week or two, then the hurricane hit. So I'm hoping next year they make a new show and it's kind of fitting in tonally with next year's theme. So I'd love to see some like HHN icons represented, some IPs represented in the Lagoon show. Okay, we're about to go in to Jason, the gauntlet. Probably gonna destroy us because it's the final night. You know what else is gonna be a gauntlet? It's gonna be a gauntlet of Murdy tweets.
There's John Murdy right there. John.
So John tweeted out this: finally finished the treatment for house number 6 for HHN 2026 at Universal Studios Hollywood. Been bouncing around between houses and Tear Tram. It came out of robust 139 pages. On to the next. Hashtag Horror Never Sleeps. And someone asked him, what's another thing you researched for this treatment? John said, specific window types. Someone says, Scream. The franchise has new blood, new kills, new everything. What better way to get a younger audience invested in the franchise? It's been over a decade since Ghostface has shown up in Hollywood, John says, and I've been trying ever since. So John has been trying to work with the Scream franchise. Maybe one day it might return to HHN. Five Fires tweeted out this: they covered the entrance to Purge, and John says, not well. Then John says, treatment for house number 7 of HHN 2026 at Universal Studios Hollywood comes in at a tidy 85 pages. Like I said, been bouncing back and forth between treatments, already in the middle of the next one. What's one thing you researched for this treatment? Sense more pleasant than nauseating.
All right, Jason is now 180 minutes.
Holy f***ing shit. So, we're walking in there and they're like, we just staffed every single boo hole with a Jason. That was the most batshit walkthrough I've ever had. That was insane. Every single boo hole.
That was the best. That was honestly the best. There, at one point there were 5 Jasons in front of you, well, on either side. Crazy.
Okay, so Art the Clown, one of the most infamous, I guess, horror icons around. So the big marketing kind of stunt was saying like how Art the Clown's gonna be roaming, right? They were talking about Midsummer Scream and, you know, hyping everything up that you'd be able to run into Art the Clown. I thought it was kind of a disaster here with all the short form content creators chasing him down. But they only had like one here at a time. When he did pop up, he was like surrounded by people. So they were marketing Art the Clown for like being here, but he really wasn't here. It was really hard to actually like spot him. People would go weeks without running into Art the Clown. Now in Hollywood, I believe they had like 6 Art the Clowns throughout the entire park. There was always an Art the Clown roaming in a certain area, so you always got to meet him and have that Art the Clown moment or experience that Terrifier fans wanted. Orlando, I think if you're gonna bring back a roaming character as popular as Art the Clown, have multiple ones throughout the entire park like how Hollywood did. Hollywood, I thought, did a great job. Now let's do a little rundown about Hollywood. So my favorite house of the year out there was Jason Universe. I liked Hollywood's better than Orlando's because you really felt you were transported into the film. I love the variety of scares, the hand popping out of the chest, Jason pulling off the hedge. It truly honored the entire Friday the 13th franchise. So that's my favorite house in Hollywood. Scare zone of the year out there was the Witches Scare Zone. They were always vicious, non-stop, back and forth, in your face. That was my favorite scare zone. And then my scare actor of the year out in HHN Hollywood was the Art the Clown in the front scare zone, the one that kind of like led the Chainsaw Brigade and was running around. It truly felt like Art the Clown from the films was actually there in front of you. Okay, so now let's go into 5 and Dine. Let's talk about the HHN merch. I really dug the HHN merch that they made. I liked the kind of build up with the stained glass where we collected each one of those pieces.
One of my biggest complaints about the merch though was the design of Little Boo. Little Boo is not represented within the park. People really aren't as intrigued with Little Boo this year. And they did the weird nose job. Little Boo's nose needs to be down there. Little Boo merch did not sell as well as it used to in the past.
So the only representation we really got of Little Boo was the canvas of Little Boo inside the tribute store. Now, we haven't really seen that style of Little Boo since the All Hallows Eve Boutique. Kind of the full-size body Little Boo. That could be a tease for next year. They added like mini scare zones throughout the entire park. I thought they worked extremely well. So they added all the Mel's Die-In zombies. I want them to expand upon this. I want like themed Mel's Die-In food inside the diner. But I like the zombies rolling around, scaring you. It's just like a fun vibe that they added. So I want them to kind of continue.
Zombies trying to offer food.
Okay, so drinks. We did it, everyone. Pretty much every single drink does not have bitters in it. I think there's one drink at the HHN bar that has bitters, but most of the drinks, bitters free. The drinks were decent this year. They're still not amazing. So we're about to head into El Artista. They've put the clue for next year's HHN. They put it in today. We're gonna go through, I wanna see it in person, and then we will talk about the meaning behind it for next year. Okay, so the Easter egg has been placed. It's there. It's better than I thought. So there's gonna be a box. It's in like the basement of El Artista. There is a photo online. So pretty much you're gonna see DR.ODDFELLOW'S symbol on a cloth. It's like a box that's been opened. So then you're gonna see the inside the box. So then right next to the box and DR.ODDFELLOW'S symbol, you're gonna see. I'm surprised they really teased that much already. Okay, so Ramon tweeted out this. Tonight the gates to the conservatory may close, but the nightmares within the Origins of Horror will live on. Thank you for an unforgettable season for HHN 34. Will forever hold a special place in my heart. So Ramon says, the nightmares will live on. There's story elements within that'll continue forward in the HHN storyline. Okay, so we're gonna have again a deeper dive into what the meaning behind that is. But House of the Year just got announced. Terrifier, Scare Zone of the Year, Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. So I agree with the Scare Zone, don't agree with Terrifier, but when we get back to the office, I'll do my House of the Year on.
The busiest closing night ever for HHN. Wyatt 6, 75 minutes, Terrifier 2 hours, FNAF 100-minute wait. It is almost 2 in the morning in November. This is insane.
Franklin told me this one earlier today. Why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Why?
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Sergio is here. Beautiful sculptures that you did, beautiful sculptures. The craftsmanship, no one else tops you. No other artist can top you. All the wonderful RIP tour guides are out here.
That's a wrap. It's 2 o'clock. HHN 34 is over. So on that note, let's go back to the office and finish all the reviews. Okay guys, we're back in the office. So before we talk about our house of the year, I want to talk about Dr. Oddfellow again. So again, we saw the little Easter egg with Dr. Oddfellow's symbol. So the big question is, will we see Dr. Oddfellow return for HHN 2026 this year? The answer is there's a very, 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 very high probability that we will see Dr. Oddfellow return for HHN 35. Along with Dr. Oddfellow, it's heavily rumored that other classic HHN characters will also be returning for Halloween Hornets. Again, we will talk about that a little later on down the road. All right, so now let's talk about what's my house of the year for HHN 34. Now I think about so many different factors. Now if it's IP related, how close is the house to the IP? Do they honor it properly? Or if it's an original house, how good is the story? How does that blend in within the house? What are the sets like? How do the actors kind of perform throughout the entire season? The costumes, the lighting. There's so much that kind of goes on into my like thought process behind the, you know, my rankings. So I like to do kind of the top three. Number 3 is going to be the Horrors of the Wyatt Six. I'm not a WWE fan whatsoever, but I really enjoyed this house. There's a lot of rich Easter eggs and variety of sets and scares, and it had like this kind of emotional heart to it. That is number 3 for me. I really enjoyed the Horrors of the Wyatt Six, even though I'm not a wrestling fan at all. And then number 2, Hatchet and Chains, Demon Bounty Hunters. Kind of one of the weaker scenes within Slaughter Cinema, has become one of my favorite houses. It is so good. The actors in there are incredible. Great costumes, great sets. The performers were in your face the entire season. Now, my scare actor of the year or scare actors of the year for the houses is in Hatchet and Chains. Now, when you're going into the graveyard, there's a performer to the right and the left. The performer to the left gets kind of a double scare. And let me tell you, throughout the entire season, they got me every single time. And they would get so close to you. The timing was perfection with the performers, with how they came at you. It was so well done. So those are my scare actors of the year. Hatchet and Chains, really enjoyed it. So my house of the year. So house of the year is kind of like best picture. So again, you got to think about all those different elements within it. And let me tell you, El Artista is one of the greatest haunted houses Halloween Horror Nights has ever created. From the rich storytelling, to the effects, to the variety of scares at so many different levels. It is a true masterclass in kind of making a haunted house. It's one of those houses like when you kind of walk through it one last time, you're like, dang, I'm never gonna get to experience that ever again. It is just pure perfection. So in the next kind of HHN update, we'll kind of do a deeper dive into El Artista and kind of talk about the story and how that's gonna kind of affect the future of Halloween Horror Nights and that story. But let me know down in the comments, what was your house of the year? Everybody kind of has their own different opinion. So guys, on that note, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button if you have not already. Hit the subscribe button and join the family.
We love the family.
Because I'm gonna keep you up to date on all things Halloween Horror Nights and Universal Studios around the country. I love you all. I'll see y'all very soon.
Those damn crooks!
Hey, no, no, hey, no.
They don't sell Hooterade here? What the heck?